Hi, this is Dr. Donna. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here on my channel, we talk about collecting art, whether you're a current or future art collector. Particularly, we talk about fine art, paintings, prints, photographs, and sculpture. That is art of the African diaspora, the Black art. We talk about starting and developing your art collection and art as an investment, right? Art as an asset placed in your portfolio along with your real estate and stock market holdings as well. So thank you very much for joining me. I am going to talk today about what it means to declutter somebody else's stuff. So this comes out of a personal experience with my family home, and it actually is a continuation of a conversation I had with Dawn Reynolds of And Such Lifestyle, where we talked about decluttering for a new beginning. And I'm going to put a link to that video in the description because I think it's a really good source for you to look at. If I'm moving away from the cameras, because I got to look at my notes sometimes, so just bear with me here. Okay. So I want to cover 3 things in this video as it pertains to decluttering and some of the reflections that I've had in this process that I'm in, managing my brother's stuff. So one of those things is like the practical and the emotional side of this decluttering stuff, this decluttering business. Number 2 is going to be getting help, right? Very important to get help. You don't have to do it all by yourself. And number 3 is about planning the next steps, which for me isn't completely clear yet. But I think that this video is actually going to be a series because I'm going through a true process. So let's start with number 1. I mentioned it's my brother stuff that I'm managing, and it's at the family home. So growing up, we were a family of 4. We had a single family home in the burbs of New York City, and 2 of us are no longer on the planet, but they left some stuff, right? And I'm the one who's now managing all the stuff. So when it comes to what I'm working on now, the project I'm working on now, it's my brother's things. And I'm not talking about, the clothes and the shoes and the knickknacks, that people collect over a lifetime, right? And not to mention the paperwork, which is a whole other video series. But I'm talking about the things that he was really passionate about. And one of those things was like a hobby / profession that he had around music. And there were a couple of things that he collected that I wasn't even aware of, right? So he would collect posters of musicians. He would collect albums. He would collect 45s. He would have any kind of ephemera, I call it, about concert posters or something like that, or memorabilia if he went to a concert. He also collected, because he was a practicing musician, he was a drummer, he was a singer, he was the house DJ as well. So he collected equipment to do all that work, like production equipment. As a matter of fact, he had registered his own production company and made t-shirts, right? So he was serious, and he was actually a member of a guild. I came across a music guild membership ID of his in the things that I discovered in this decluttering process, not to mention the electric guitars, but I'll get to that in a second. So there was all this stuff, and you know, in the process of looking through it all, it was quite an emotional experience because I'm finding out these new things, right, about my brother, and he's my big brother as well, and that I just didn't know about, right? I just didn't know the depths of his commitment to music, producing music, knowing about music, right? It was always like, oh, he's doing that, he's making a lot of noise in the house. Stuff that my mom used to complain about all the time. The volume was too high. It must be a Jamaicanism, but that's another story, another video too. So there was that aspect of it, and then there was these practical matters, right? Like, what do I do? How do I get started? This is overwhelming. How do I plan this out? And how much time? You know, how much time can I give to this? So, you know, it's like a huge, huge snowball. And, you know, they say, you know, how do you eat an elephant? Chop it up into smaller bits, right? So that's my approach to this project. So number 2, the getting help part of it. Well, like, I'm leading this project, and my brother has a niece and a nephew who are my kids. And they're old enough to get involved, right? And I think it's actually important for them to see more, understand more about their uncle's passions, right? And it's kind of, you know, family history stuff as well. So I am planning, I haven't recruited them by the neck yet, but planning to have them help me do the inventory for all of the things that are in the collection that I plan to do something with. Now, earlier this year, I created this workbook called the Art Inventory Workbook, and I'm going to put a link to that workbook in the description below. And in that workbook, it takes you through the process of starting your art inventory, right? Like to identify what you have, to write down the condition of what you have, take the measurements, photograph the work, you know, if there's any information about where that object had been exhibited or published or who owned it, right? The provenance of it. You want to write down those notes in your inventory and, you know, be referring to those notes, updating them as much as possible. For those of you who want to work with software in particular, I'll make a link to Artwork Archive software in the description to take up your inventory, take it to the next level of inventorying your materials. So there's that. The next thing is planning for the next step. So this is basically how far I got with the clearing out, organizing of my brother's things, and most particularly the music stuff, right? So I had to clear out the room, and some items I said, like, I'm not going to be able to manage these. I need to find a home for them, right? So some things that were outdated, the equipment, honestly, was outdated. And there were 2 things I was going to do with the equipment. Oh, or maybe 3. Well, anyway, yeah, 3. 1, I was going to donate it to a local Art in the Schools program. I think it's called Materials for the Arts. Materials for the Art Schools. I don't know. But in the screen, you're going to have the right name of that program. It's local to the New York City area. I was going to do that. Number 2, I was going to put things out on the curb, things that were in good working order. If anyone in the area driving by would be interested, they can pick it up, get it for free. Now, you just have to make sure, like, you're living in a neighborhood where you can do that and you won't be fined. Okay, make sure you look into that. Yeah, very, very important. And the other thing was I was going to keep that item, do more research on it, and get towards some sort of valuation on it. Okay, which leads me to another practical matter about finding experts, talking to experts, getting some guidance on what you got. Do your Google searches, talk to people in, you know, I need to talk to the music people, right? And I'm coming to this as an appraiser, but an appraiser of art. I don't know anything about music. I like to listen to music. I used to DJ a little bit as a teenager, but yeah, doesn't get much further than that. So, so that's important to make happen for yourself. So yes, so getting help, and getting help may also mean contacting someone to remove the items from your home. That's just the fact of the matter. And in my case, it was also important because I was actually renovating the room. After clearing all of those things out, I needed to do some fixing of the space and get it back in working order. So it was important for me to kind of cut my losses, cut some time out, and, you know, work with someone who was going to remove that stuff so that I can move on to the next step in this process. Honestly, in terms of my next steps, I'm really still planning that out, right? I'm taking it step by step, and this leads back into one of the items that I mentioned before. In the process of clearing the stuff out, when I had the removal professionals come to the home, I discovered 2 electric guitars. and I was like, what? What is this? What is this? I don't ever remember my brother playing a guitar. Or if I did, it was like 35, 40 years ago. We were kids or whatever. And oh my God, this is a responsibility. Again, I'm an art appraiser. So I can't look at this stuff like, oh, I don't know anything about it, I gotta throw it away, you know, because you need to know what you got, right? You need to know what you have. So I looked at it and I thought, gosh, I must have remembered watching maybe a documentary or something on YouTube, I don't know what it was, about the value of certain electric guitars, right? So I knew right off the bat, this is going to be a bigger project than I expected. And I need to pull those things from the removal pile and set them aside and make the time to do the researches to find out more about each guitar and ultimately, obviously, its value. You know, I may need to get insurance on it. If I don't plan to keep it, do I want to donate it to an institution or do I want to sell it? And, you know, all that entails around selling. I would need to commit to that. So that's an important note to make, I think, here. So be honest with yourself and be gentle with yourself when you're getting rid of somebody else's stuff, again, especially when it's a loved one and those emotional connections start to kick in. Just be gentle, pace yourself, and you know, plan things out, right? Also realize it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Not a sprint. So take your time through the process and get and kind of formulate the support that you need to get to this finish line. Okay, so I really would love to hear your comments on this conversation about decluttering somebody else's stuff. Enter your comments below. I read every comment, and I like to reply to people as they comment as well. As I mentioned before, another video I did on Declutter for a New Beginning would be a great video to watch after watching this one. Also remember to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for this channel if this is the content that you're interested in, and if there are other subjects you want me to cover about art appraisal and art collecting and art as an asset, let me know. I'd be happy to do a video on it. So thank you so much for watching my channel, and I'll see you next time. Bye.